What's up, guys? Thank you for clicking on the video. So again, Lace and I scouring SEMA on the first day to give you every Corvette at SEMA, and so there's a lot here. We've already seen some really cool cars, but the beauty this year is you're watching Night Drive TV and we have our own booth. So I'm going to start the video with our Corvettes that we have in the booth and the products we have, but I encourage you to stick around in the video. We're going to go through the whole show on day one, get you every cool Corvette, and then always check out Night Drive TV, sub to the channel, check out our website. We're doing C4, C5, and C6 products, and it's our first year having a booth here at SEMA.
This is going to be interesting. We're trying to be here to meet everybody, but at the same time, go see everything, get content for you guys.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting year.
But if you hit up SEMA, stop by. We're in and out and things like that, but we do have a show special on a few things, but we're going to hit it, so stick around. You're watching Night Drive TV.
I always wanted to build fast cars, so self-taught I started with engine swaps, composites in my apartment to multiple shops, tuning, fabrication, and more. 10 years later, the big time, SEMA, Speed TV, I climbed from nothing, but I lost it all. This is my new ride, Night Drive TV. Failure is not an option. Us car guys keep banging the gears of life. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to do this video. We are going to start with our booth. This is a 2006 C6 base model Corvette. It actually has a custom wide body. It's the basically a Z06 wide body, but he's turboed it. Obviously there's a lot of details, but here we're showing the maxed in unit, which was developed specifically for C6. He's displaying the parameters for his max ECU on there, but obviously it does Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless. You can follow him here on Instagram. We basically featured this car to display the C6 maxed in, which is in production and shipping. Here we have my headlights on Nick Harper's C5. It's a 2000. He has it supercharged, obviously bagged with Workmeister wheels, 3-piece wheels, 19 by 13s, I believe. And so we are going to possibly do a collab on those front corner markers if you're curious about those. But I had the C5 maxed in prototype on the inside of this car, and that was basically why this car was featured, was for my headlights and this maxed in you see here. Plug and play, everything installs. You don't have to cut anything. Very easy to install and take back out and reverse if you wanted to. But he came from Texas and we had the car in the booth. So that was the main feature here. But in this video, I'm going to have a bar at the bottom of the screen, which is going to show you when the next car comes. So follow that as your guide. So in this video, I'm going to start out with all the C8s in a row. This was the HP Tuner booth. Probably one of the best C8s in the show, I will say, in my opinion. Great kit on it, a lot of forged carbon, cool color, very creative header scheme in the back. So this is something that if you want to see more details, I'd suggest searching the HP Tuner C8 Corvette in SEMA 2023. This was a really nice build, very unique in a sea of kind of plain C8 Corvettes this year. I will say, I don't want to disappoint anybody watching the video, but this was like a truck SEMA, and the amount of Corvettes and the density of Corvettes was a little bit disappointing. There were some good cars, as you can see there. I close in on the sign. So this was a great car. I think a great example for C8 center exit exhaust, like a Lambo. Very cool as well. So lots of cool details and innovations, I think, for the C8 Corvette community. So that's why I started with this one. I have another Corvette here coming from Cunningham. It's a brand you may not be familiar with, but the name is kind of a staple in Corvette. And they're doing some active aero stuff and some innovative things for C8 base model guys. So stick around for that. But this car, I tried to get as many details as I could, but it was pretty nice. And it was a welcomed sight in Center Hall here. A lot of attention on this wide body and this setup. So here we jump over to, I believe this is a Cybon booth, but Anderson Composites has their label on the windshield. I'm going to say this is of the number of C8 carbon Corvettes at SEMA this year. This was definitely very impressive. It's a dry carbon full body. I couldn't get any details. I was trying to speak to some people, but they were too busy for me. So I did do a complete walk around here. We can get some details of what this car is. So it is definitely not a Z06. It has a very unique kind of subtle wide body, so it kind of takes on that OEM feel, but I'm trying to show you some real close-ups of the carbon work here. It is very good, all kind of that satin finish, implying that it's dry carbon. I would do some research on this on the C8 in the C1 booth. So I tried to really get in on the detail, and it looked like it was literally every piece of the car. Some of these parts you have to wonder, is this an overlay or a cap? I would assume some type of very thin cap, but very subtle wide body, very tasteful. Sorry for the shakiness running around here. So full diffuser in the back. Definitely is a base model. It even utilizes what is essentially the stock, the OEM style high wing for the Z51, the optional high wing. But see this detail here, little extra line, kind of trying to, work the wide body design into the C8, which is already full of lines, and it's a few more. But I would say overall, I mean, this was a very quality looking, build, and it adds certainly a more exotic flavor to the C8. So, if you've got the big money, you probably, there's no telling what this kit would cost. I was looking for some of the weave alignment, panel to panel, to see if they were attempting that, but that is, I thought I was in the C1 booth. Well, I correct myself. That's Anderson Composites. So, very, very clean car. Probably worth looking into. They even had some dive planes and some front aero. So lots of flavor. I'm sure obviously you could just select, you don't need all of this. You could select just some of these, paint to match, wrap to match your car. So it's something worth looking into, but that is the Anderson Composites booth for the C8.
Well, we have to put it in here. I'm not, maybe you like it. I'm not a huge fan, but pretty interesting, I guess. Got something going on in the wrap here. These wraps, this chrome is very hard to maintain in good shape. I thought it was a Ferrari, so yes, there's that. Brighten this up a little bit. So this it appears to be a painted over carbon. Lace is shooting a picture. I'm trying to see. It does appear to be carbon with like a candy over top. Some speckles in it. It looks like it's, see with the light, it's a lot to it. This is like a carbon flash, and you can kind of see the candy changes a little bit because it's over the black, I think. Sorry, bro, I gotta get details. People want to see these things. Interestingly, it says Cunningham, which Cunningham, well, the name is associated with Corvette, and there's a Briggs and Cunningham Corvettes at Le Mans. I don't know if there's any relation whatsoever. Very interesting, though. It does have that commemorative interior, like that blue, like the Grand Sports and the C7s had. I don't know if that's a special interior option on these. Looks like they're just trying to match the badge. Cunningham. Oh, okay.
That's the low wing when it's stalled, and then it comes up.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have it available to go from stoke position in touring mode, low downforce and sport, and then going into high downforce and barrel braking and track mode.
Okay.
Built that for us, and then the rest of the aero is going to look just like the rear diffuser when the car's done.
Right.
We're going to have a complete wheel selection, about probably about 12 different wheel styles available.
So what he's basically breaking down for me is, and I'm going to try and summarize quickly, but the one thing that stopped me initially, there's a carbon brake kit on this car, so this will be for Stingray guys, right? Stingray guys. So it's they're estimating 16, 17 grand.
16 grand.
Full carbon brake kit. So that's through Briggs Cunningham. So I'll put it on the website. They've got this full carbon body. This is going to be the Briggs Cunningham edition car, and so you deliver your Stingray to Briggs.
Exactly, to us. And
okay,
they'll do the build.
They do the conversion. So we've got. And that covers the front, right?
It'll be bumper to bumper.
Right. No, I mean, but in terms of individual kit parts, we're highlighting this hatch.
Yes. So the hatch with the window on the tonneau.
Right.
And that's available right now with an SMC panel. That's a replacement for the factory one. And then we're also going to be offering the kit to be able to upgrade, put the window on yourself.
Right.
So you don't have to repaint your panel.
So that will have that option inevitably.
That's coming.
So then we've got these wheels, which are
the reproductions of original Halla brands.
So
that we used
the original Halla brands. Okay.
Yeah, we modeled it on the original Halla brands from the 1960s, and this is the carbon edition of those. We also have the same wheel in aluminum.
Okay. Oh, in aluminum.
So
okay.
Yeah, as a single piece instead of a two-piece.
So, and then we've got as far as the Aero, that's released in 24. That's the guess on that.
That's what we're aiming for right now.
Okay.
24 for the Aero, and also for our full wheel line in 2024.
So lots of options for C8 guys to check out, and really, and this is all pretty new for Briggs Cunningham as far as the C8. This is new for them as far as getting into C8s and stuff like that.
Since 2020 when we introduced the anniversary edition. So we'll have the brakes available online. We'll have about 10 different wheel styles available online, and then the full Briggs Carbon Edition will also be available online.
Yeah, full brake kit, 6-piston front and rear, which he pointed out, which was kind of unique. And so you'll know for carbon brakes, that's very relatively affordable, to be honest with you. So very, very affordable. So a lot of unique stuff. So obviously check out Cunningham. The name is definitely known in Corvette, dating back to the first Corvettes that competed at Le Mans.
That's right.
So very, very cool name, brand associated with Corvette. So check out Briggs and Cunningham, and I'll put it on the screen.
So last year, the Pandem kit was quite popular on the C8 and its presence at SEMA. So this year, I spotted this Liberty Walk version. Liberty Walk, obviously a Japanese-based company. We're seeing a bit more with, you see this line accentuation with wraps and things like that, kind of taking on this sketchbook kind of comic book feel. So Liberty Walk, obviously not to everybody's taste, but options are good. This has a bit more aggressive feel to it, combined with kind of a gritty little bit of wrap. But they do have some nice parts. Again, you could probably make some of this work on your stock Corvette, so check out Liberty Walk. So I found this particular C8 in Westall, which is mostly off-road and trucks, but it was there's some auto wrap and detailing companies, and so this has a pretty unique, very subtle wide body. You can see these small flares on the front and rear quarter panel there, the front fender, and it is pretty subtle, obviously going to accentuate your base model or Z51. It kind of has a lip underneath, so I'm not sure you're going to gain much like wheel width without getting into contact, but I was trying to get some details of this. You can see it's called a Concept 8. So maybe that's something you can Google search. The interior seemed pretty run-of-the-mill GM, but I liked the color scheme. Thought it was a nice-looking car, obviously. They put a few details on the carbon to kind of tie into the wheels. And you can see that wide body in that rear. There's some rear carbon there that kind of accentuates. They have a little something going on in the engine bay. Appears to be supercharged, matrix supercharged, so check that out. So here we're outside. I'm showing you the Optima cars, so don't expect, these aren't big builds. These are customers, well, they're customers of the aftermarket, essentially. They're running their cars in the Optima Challenge, the Ultimate Street Car Competition, so they have their own mods that kind of cater more towards track use.
another carbon C8. Are you impressed? Now what's tricky is a lot of these wide bodies, they take on the Z06 side scoop, so you can't really immediately identify if the Z06 is out, but this has Z51 spoiler, so one would assume it's a Stingray. Yep, pipes on the outside, pipes over here, pipes over there, not there. I don't know, the explosion of carbon, he does have something going on there. Can't really see, but he definitely has an aftermarket intake manifold, so who knows? I don't have it open, but nice. I mean, it just shows you can wide body a C8, and I mean really transform the character of it to much like the Z06, even better in some ways, because you know, the Z06 is very subtle, so if you want something a little more aggressive, it's out there. But hard to tell who makes the kit. Can't really see. So, there it is.
Okay, we actually got fired after like 2 weeks into telemarketing. I still remember my tagline. Good evening, my name is Rampart Blvd from the California Police Activities Agency. Can I ask you a few questions? If you think there's other alternatives to keep kids away from drugs, and they're like, we're having dinner. And then, you know, then you just call on your people to get to reach your quota.
Well, yes, we have moved on to C7s. If you're disappointed, yes, I was disappointed as well. C8 was very thin on cars and kind of thin on cars showing some innovation. There was a lot of product, but not that many cars compared to other years, but this is a C7. Very cool plate, actually. I think it's a good idea. It's stock, if you will, and he put the Z in there. Pretty cool build, carbon rotors, pretty aggressive, pro-charged, things like that. I get to the sign for some details. This is kind of in a builder area. We were kind of flying through at this point, but there you go. Some Brom seats in here. It's amazing to see Brom has, you know, was kind of, I don't know, they came out of nowhere. It's obviously a Chinese brand, but I don't know, they slowly, I think because of the fitment, they tend to fit in Corvettes, these Brom seats. And so, I don't know, they seem to have gotten a lot of traction. Let me check this guy out here. Big tip Corsa exhaust in there. So again, these are the Optima cars outside. This is more track focused, function focused, and they obviously have their own categories. So not to expect much in the sense of innovative mods, but it's just something if you're a track guy to kind of see some people are doing, but externally, I mean, from the exterior, pretty stock, pretty straightforward stuff. So speaking of track builds, there's not much that's going to compete in the Corvette world than this car here. And this is actually his second car. You may be familiar with the carbon Kevlar version. It kind of has a greenish hue. This is actually another car he's built. I'm going to put his Instagram on screen here. Man, he has just continuously pushed this car, the C6 chassis, on the track with time attack and global time attack, grid life, things like that. So, yeah, if you're a C7 guy and you're like, what just happened? Well, that's what happened. Nothing. So, indicative of a SEMA 2023, there was some pretty strong vendor turnout in terms of companies seem to be generally still healthy, but SEMA is driven by enthusiast builds, and they were a little thin this year. I often like to say that the SEMA show is kind of like the Dow Jones Index in kind of giving you a hint at the economy and the state of things. I think here businesses were generally still healthy. They had a good showing. The vendors overall at SEMA, there was a lot there, a lot to see. But I think when it comes to enthusiasts building the cars, these are mostly self-funded builds at SEMA, and obviously they have some companies' products on their car. Getting to SEMA, the cost of that, the cost of building the car, I think it indicates that there is an enthusiast financial crunch a bit to do these extreme builds. So this was a drift car, obviously. If you're looking at damages and things, this is all business here. These are usually super high powered, obviously supercharged. They usually use nitrous. Just a functional build to bring people to the booth.
Moto in on this deal. Need a max dent in this thing. So this appears to be a ZR1.
Good thing we're not close. No, it was just a long 3 hours. But every
Definitely looks like trying to see, it's just like a big single.
In the moment behind the screen of my camera, I'm kind of, I'm not looking at it with my eyes. I'm looking at my little screen on the camera. So this is kind of a weird job when I do these videos, because oftentimes, even when I'm editing, I can see the car better than in person. So sometimes my dialogue's a little off. So this is just as close as I can get to a couple of these Optima Vettes. I just wanted to show them because they were there. Optima was not really open to having me behind this particular gate, so I couldn't really get some of these Vettes back here, and so this was about as good as I could get, so not allowed. So again, I'm just going to weave in the original Booth C6 that we have just to finish off C6. Like I said, not many of these middle generations, very few C7s obviously, very few C6s, and only one C5 in the entire show, and it was in my booth. So that was the intent, as I really wanted C5s represented, and so that was something I really prioritized with my booth. And obviously to show off product, but we're going to make a lot more stuff for C5 this coming year. And as well, C4s were not represented at all at SEMA, not in Optima, not anywhere. And this is something that next year is solely on my list. I will have a C4 at SEMA. That's my objective. And so I'm hoping C4s can be built on the channel here as well as my C5 for next year. So stick around for KnightDriveTV to go through some later generations, but please sub, follow along, throw me a comment, I appreciate it. So as a return from prior years, this was actually the only C3 in the show. Obviously it's a great one though. He does compete in the Optima Challenge. It's very clean. Josh, who is you see on the channel occasionally, he really loves this car. It's got a lot of good details, though. They added a lot of nice design features. Very functional car. I think it's a great representation of where C3s can head in terms of starting to, have people modify old inherited C3s, C4s from other family members, or picking them up cheap as projects. I think C4s and C3s are really coming into the zone of time to build more of these cars in a modern way. That being said, though, there were some very nice C2s and C1s in the show. There was probably one key builder that I think I could see a pattern in a few of the cars featured. So if you are a C2 or C1 fan, obviously a mid-year or an early Corvette fan, you're going to like some of these if it's your style. We even have an Optima C2, which is really unique and creative ahead. But I tried to get the details here. Obviously, these C2s, mid-years, and C1s tend to be the ones that people still dump a lot of money into to make a really nice one. And some great paint work ahead on a few of these cars. These were really impressive, big money builds. So here is yet another C2. And, I will point out for some of you guys, I think cere coating, due to its kind of very matte finish, deviating from anodizing or powder coating, is promoting a lot more of these brownish and copperish hues. And I saw quite a bit of this at the show, and so I'm trying to show you some details here. But some of these things, they really go all in to do a lot of cere coating on things. So it's influencing, I think, a little bit of the color schemes. But the browns, the coppers, the chocolates, the root beers, I did see some patterns in some of this. But, the temperature variation when you get that light and that metallic, very nice. As you can see. And so obviously a split window car, had some carbon influences. So you're seeing that mix of modern kind of with, restorative type of features, but kind of pushing the interiors. I'm seeing some interior work, different materials, just trying to seek some type of uniqueness. But the side pipes on this car were real unique. Not for everybody, obviously, but it was nice to see some boundaries being pushed. Not everything was perfect. This is fake carbon here. I would have passed on doing that. But, overall, pretty impressive car. So we got some music in the background of this clip. Interesting headlight treatment, though. Now, obviously, for you big mid-year fans, this is going to, push you around a little bit in terms of what you like or maybe what's being done. But this car is aimed at being track functional. And so I think it was a good use. One thing I really like about certain aspects of this car is when people tend to wide body and road race C2s, they take away the flat upper portion of the wheel arch. And I like that this person preserved it. Now, in addition, they're trying to add a little bit of aerodynamic quality and over the roof line and bring it back down. It's not going to be for everybody. Obviously has a bit of a C3 influence into it. C7 kind of wicker bill rear aero, trying to get some downforce. Obviously, if it's there, they must feel like it's working for them. A lot of carbon accents, carbon parts, bumper, the small bumper pieces, diffusers. So this is just a pure, bringing an old car into the modern era. So I'm going to voice over this one as well because some wild drifting is going on in the background that you may hear. But again, this is Blueprint Engines Booth. They have this C2 out there. We're getting some of this brownish treatment, very interesting textures, some interior treatments. So this is definitely something that's it's trending a bit in the kind of older Restomod. The gas fillers and gas cap areas on these C2s and C1s, there definitely a lot of attention there. I'm seeing a lot of mirror variations. Just to try and come up with some side mirrors and things that just, I guess, that market kind of works off of. But, obviously a lot of chassis being done, modern braking. People really want that old style and that old flavor, but they really want the modern suspension. You kind of see it looks like it's some C5 suspension, something. So this is probably a full chassis car, kind of hard to see. But these mirrors were very popular. They must be an aftermarket product because I saw them on a number of cars or the same builder. So pretty clean car, pretty nice. But I've got some I got another C2 coming, really nice. But overall, there was a lot of nice C2s there. It was a year of C2, I think, and C1, as you'll see soon. So here we are in the mother's booth, and I took a bit of a particular liking to this car. Love the color. Not a huge fan of the wheels. It's up to you, obviously. And so some of these, the reason, if you're a younger guy or you're a guy kind of building in a more aggressive, modern way, the reason I like to look at these cars is, you know, you can pull some ideas from these older genres and hot rods and, you know, kind of street rod, kind of, you know, the older guys. But what I think was interesting about this one is they really took, you know, very seriously keeping this engine color intact throughout the entire engine bay, all the brackets, even some of the plugs. And then they keyed the engine color to the interior color. And so that's, you know, but they really isolated just these two colors, this kind of tan, I don't know what color you want to, you get what I'm saying, kind of this lighter, creamy tan color combined with the teal, which is a great color combination, no question. Like the interior treatments, as always, you know, just talented interior guys, man, they're hard to come by, but you can see the value. And then they tied that color, you can see, into this Corvette rear emblem that I'll kind of, you know, focus in on here in a second. But overall, just, you know, I just really like the car. I would love to see a little bit of, I don't know, a younger guy kind of take on some of this build flavor with something older, but kind of dial in a little bit of, I don't know, kind of modern aggression and things like that. Because as you can see in the Optima car, it's a little bit, you know, it goes one way a little far, and then these go another way in the opposite direction. This hot rod, you know, Riddler type of side of things. I'd love to see that blended a little better by someone that just kind of has a taste and a feel for both sides. But you can see there, Battle of the Builders. It's a SEMA car, so very nice car overall. I was pretty impressed with it. I just love the color, I think, and the cleanliness. They're kind of taking on these wire tuck feels with modern injection. Cool car. Alrighty, so off to the C1s, and yes, do you see a pattern here, guys? We're getting, again, these variations, browns, bronzes, Cerakoting, matte finishes on the wheels. I think this, you know, and obviously a modern, some type of modern power plant just being stuffed under there. So lots of browns, lots of this same scheme, but I kind of like tying in the, as you'll see, I think I focus in kind of like a fashion brand. Has been done definitely in other genres. I like seeing it kind of leak over, and it's probably because you're getting younger guys into this that are working in these hot rod shops that are kind of saying, hey, you know, let's kind of tie together like the, you know, whiskey set in the back. You see this in exotics quite a bit, like in Bugattis. They were tying clothing brands to, you know, a very high-end exotic type of car. But, you know, this type of build scheme, you're going to either like it or not. I think it's going to polarize some people a little bit, but still sticking with a lot of cleanliness. I think the bumpers could have been tucked a little tighter on that car, personally. I really liked the depth in that emblem, and so I kind of focused on that. Obviously, has some modern lighting. I'm not feeling the very lack of dish. I really like concave and dished wheels and things like, so the hot rods are kind of lacking that. So here we have a blue on tan. Obviously seeing a little pattern still here with that earlier C2, a little darker blue on this one. So I'm kind of walking around. Bumper variations you can see on a lot of these early ones. There, people are trying to be more creative with the back end. I don't quite like the bulky rears on the earlier one. I don't know what's happening here. Did I pass out? I don't know. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna let it roll. So kind of a traditional, very very chromy wheels. A little better. I like that they have a bit of depth to them. Pretty clean car. Nothing. I don't see anything super groundbreaking. You may, if you're a little more familiar with this era and how people were building them. But I think it was an honest car, and it was nicely done. So visiting the Mecum booth, I will say they had very nice C1 in here. This car is just very clean. A lot of attention. Obviously, a bigger wheel. They're taking on a little bit of a different approach. Again, some people will think it's awful, hideous, but some people will love it. I think the silver with the red engine is a very safe. Obviously, red, silver, tied in a little black, a little chrome. It's well received, I think, but very clean car. A lot of attention to detail. The windshield, just a lot of work in this. You can clearly see interior variations, things like that. Very, very clean car. Kind of looks modern, but obviously the bumper treatments, things like that. The inset plate. It's just super clean. Was looking at these lights, saw these lights a few places in the show. And that is likely because we are looking at the same builder. And so Ken Diggett, I believe, is the name. And so I was clearly seeing 3 C1s that were taking on a pattern of appearance, larger wheels, filling out the wheel wells, larger brakes, but keeping them subtle. Nice variations in colors and use of color. Really love the top on this car. Very smooth, and so you can see that there's just a lot of focus by this builder on modernizing in the sense of just that OEM type of fit and finish maybe that you get by a modern car like the C7 vert top. They got much smoother over the C6s, tucking everything that inset plate, just trying to make the car take on this some of the modern standards. I think we're seeing rapid prototyping. I'm sure this guy's using 3D printing or just some more, digitally incorporated build methods into, getting certain looks and appearances on things. Great interior. Love the color variations. And we're going to jump over to the other one next to it. So here I'm kind of focusing in on these taillights again. You can see the builder knows what he likes. Kind of has a very consistent sense of how he likes to put these cars together. Again, it's an acquired taste for you, but I like the wheel selections. I like the approach and giving you this classic roadster feel, probably with a lot of, very modern running gears. You can see with the brakes, kind of hard to see in there what they're using as far as real underpinnings, but you can look up the builder. I like that he's using this kind of contrasting tone inside, working it into the steering column and things like that. Very cool. Working the interior side panels and everything into the dash, carrying the interior color, that secondary color, into the engine. Lots of use of polished chrome, things like that. Pretty nice, though. And that's going to be the wrap on SEMA, I believe, as far as our Corvettes go. Wasn't a huge year, but, there's still things to look at as always. And, so hope you enjoyed the video, guys. That's it.